Hello my fellow fish fans. Today we're going to be talking about easy plants for beginners that you can get at big box stores. So I hope that this video is going to be helpful. But first, this video is brought to you by the Fish Fan t-shirt. You can check out our Fish Fan t-shirt that I designed myself. I was really proud of it because I'm not an artistic person. But I sure did figure out how to make that tang that I designed over at teespring.com/fishfan, or you can check out our store at teespring.com/Heidi Kim. So one of the best ways that you can support movies or videos like this and channels like this is by supporting the creators that make it. Last time we did a campaign, we did this shirt, which is Sudden Impact. That is my family vlogging channel. This is going to be for sale as well over on the Heidi Kim storefront. And I have to tell you, this shirt is like the softest shirt on the planet. So if you guys are interested in supporting the channel, you can do it over there. But let's break into the top 10 plants that you can get at Petsmart very, very cheap. That will grow super duper easy. So number 10 is going to not really be a plant at all, but it is mothballs. They're usually in the betta section. Oftentimes you can get them at Petco as well. Some of these are going to be plants that you can get at both places, some only Petco, some only Petsmart, but big box stores that you probably have easy access to. I find that the ones at Petco will come with like 3 of the mothballs in a little kit, whereas the one at Petsmart have like the giant mothballs. They're really, really great, super duper easy. I mean, it's basically like having a plastic plant. They're so easy, but they'll help consume the nitrates. Kind of slow growing, but you literally just plop them into a tank. You don't have to have a special light, special substrate, anything like that. Occasionally, if you want, you can squeeze them out into old tank water when you are cleaning the tank. Very, very easy. So I absolutely love that plant. Number 9. I'm sure I'm going to mispronounce a lot of these plants because I am not a plant person by any means. I need my plants to be very, very easy. So this is a Pongian, I don't know how to pronounce it. I've heard it pronounced a couple of different ways. So this plant, you don't typically see grown in the store, but you can get bulbs. And the thing I love about the bulbs is a lot of times it's very cheap because you will get multiple plants for the price of one, and they guarantee that it's going to grow. So if it doesn't grow within 30 days, and sometimes it doesn't, you can just send the bulb back and the company will send you a new bulb. They're super easy, and I find I had one that was just growing like crazy. They're so easy plants to grow and do fine in low light. And one of the nice things about growing them from a bulb as opposed to buying them like in the tubes, which is where you're going to buy most of your plants from Petsmart or Petco, is that those tube plants are grown out of water, whereas the bulb plants, they've only ever been grown in water. And when a plant is grown out of water, it's called immersed grown as opposed to submersed grown. When you first add it to your tank, those outside leaves start to melt away, and then you think you're killing your plant. It's very normal, very common, but a lot of newbies don't know that. Whereas the bulb plant will have only ever been submersed grown, so that makes it a lot easier. That being said, they don't always grow, so if they don't, just send them back. They do have a guarantee on them, and I find that they grow very, very quickly and clean the tank very, very, very well. Number 9 is going to be similar. It's an onion plant. It tends to come in those little kits as well. I believe the top fin one has that in there as well. And then number 8 or number 7, water lily is another one. This plant is growing better than any other plant in my discus tank. It's really cool because it adds some red to the tank. If you have a substrate that's rich in iron, or if you're adding root tabs to your tank, it will give you a big pop of red, and then you also have like floating plants, which I really like because it'll go straight to the surface, grow super tall, and then float at the top, and you'll have all these water lilies on top, little lily pad kind of things. And it's definitely a plant that my gourami really loves and my discus really love because it kind of blocks the light a little bit. Bettas, I'm sure, would love it too. So if you have an iron-rich substrate like fluorite, it will come out red. If you don't, I believe, and I've never tried it outside of this, but if you don't, I believe it comes out a green color. And again, that's a bulb plant, so you do want to make sure that if it doesn't grow within 30 days, that you've saved your receipt they'll send you new ones, and I've heard people say that you send one bulb in and they'll send you like a whole new pack in, which I think is just really, really good. Okay, so now we're moving into actual plants that you can get in those little tubes. So number 6 is Java Fern. I think Java Fern is like Captain easiest plant in the world. So one of the keys with Java Fern, and there's a bunch of different kinds of Java Fern, but one of the keys with Java Fern is that it needs to be attached to rock or decoration or wood or something. You know, you can tie it onto your little pink castle, that's fine, or you know, super glue it onto a piece of wood, or use fishing line, whatever you got to do. Sometimes you can just shove it into a crevice, but having the rhizome, which is at the bottom of the plant, out of the substrate is what makes the Java Fern grow. It's not the fastest grower in the world, but it's like a plastic plant. It's almost impossible to kill and does fine in low light as well. So you don't actually have to have any substrate for Java Fern, because you're going to be attaching it to a decoration or something like that. So I really love it for betta tanks, where a lot of times people don't have, you know, fluorite or eco-complete or those really rich substrates. It's also a water column feeder, so you don't have to use root tabs. You can just use a liquid fertilizer if you want. It won't be the fastest growing growing plant, but it does the job really, really well. Number 5 is Wisteria. It is such a good plant, you guys. I think that Wisteria actually should have been probably number 1. It is, in my opinion, one of the easiest plants to grow. It's very, very fast. And again, it comes in those tubes. So both the Java Fern and the Wisteria, anything that comes in tubes like that, expect when you first add it to your tank for it to melt back a little bit. But Wisteria, you can either just float at the top and roots will grow down and it will grow down into your substrate, or you can plant it in the substrate. I find that it grows a little faster if I plant it in the substrate. And as it grows, you'll see roots come off the top of it. Just cut underneath those white roots and replant it. It propagates really, really quickly and really, really easily. In my opinion, this plant is one of the quickest ways to remove excess nitrates, or if you happen to have to do a fish-in cycle, ammonia in the tank. It's very, very good for a quick growing plant, in my opinion, and does fine in low light as well. Number 4 is a rosette sword. Yeah, so this is similar to an Amazon sword, which I'll talk about as number 3, spoiler. But rosette swords, in my opinion, they're a little prettier. They don't grow quite as tall as an Amazon sword, so they make a good mid-ground plant. The only thing when you are thinking of sword plants is that they are root feeders. So having a mineral-rich or a good healthy substrate like eco-complete or fluorite or those kinds of things, or a dirted tank, will help. But another thing that you might want to consider doing is adding some root tabs. So I'll link down below where you can buy root tabs and the fertilizer that I use. I just use the Sea Chem Flourish. I know a lot of people have had really good luck with aquarium co-ops, Easy Green, but every few months or so you want to be adding a root tab, which is just like a little, it's like a little vitamin looking thing that you just stick in underneath the roots of your sword plants, because they do feed from the roots. They'll use some of the fertilizer if you do liquid fertilizer, but they'll feed from the roots. What I love about them is they're really broad-leafed. These are great, again, for betta tanks, because the betta can really rest on it, and I think it makes the tank look really, really good. You want to, again, this is one that comes in a tube. You want to cut back any of those leaves that have completely melted off and died. You're going to think that you'll be bad at plants when you first get them if you're getting them in those tubes. It's normal. Just know it's really normal, and the leaves that come in will look a little different than the ones that you saw when you first bought the plant. Number 3 is Amazon sword. Very, very similar to rosette sword. Again, it does great with root tabs. The only thing about the Amazon sword is it gets quite a bit taller than the rosette sword, so you want to put it more in the background of your tank. And the thing I've noticed is that if you buy them at Petsmart, you get more plants buying Amazon sword than you do with the rosette sword. So just kind of keep that in mind as well. Number 2, Anubias. You guys, Anubias is It's a lot like Java Fern, same kind of concept. You glue it onto a piece of decoration, you shove it in a castle window, or you tie it onto a rock or something like that. And it is so hard to kill. Anubias will live sometimes even without any fertilizer, in very low light. In my opinion, it is one of the best beginner plants because it makes you really confident. It's a very slow grower though. It grows very, very slowly, so, you know, be aware of that. But Anubias is often referred to as like a plastic plant because they're so hard to kill, which I think is great. And they're quite broad-leafed, so that, again, great for bettas. Great in my discus tank too. It's it handles the high temperatures a lot better than some of the other plants that I've had in there. So big fan of Anubias. And then my number one favorite plant that you can get at a big box store. Now I'm told it's illegal in some places, but is Anacris. Sometimes I call it Anarchus, but it's Anacris, I think is how it's pronounced. They're like these bunch plants, and you buy them in a bunch. You can float them at the top of the tank like you would with wisteria, or you can plant them into the substrate. I find that they don't need special substrate. They don't need high light, really. And just like wisteria, what you can do is you can cut underneath when the roots grow and replant them. Very, very, very fast growers. That's probably why it's illegal in some places. I imagine that they might be, what's it called? Invasive in some places because it does grow really quickly. But it's cheap. You can get a bunch of them for like $3 or something like that, and very, very quickly fill in a tank. So big, big fan of Anacris for beginners. So those are my top 10 plants that you can get at big box stores like Petsmart or Petco. Petsmart and Petco are really famous for selling plants that aren't actually true aquatic plants, things like mondo grass or lucky bamboo or compacta, I think, white ribbon. Don't get any of those that I just listed because those will just rot away and die because they need to have their leaves out of the water to grow. But the ones that I just listed will grow submersed, and I promise you will make you feel really confident about plants, help clean up your water, help if you're trying to get through a fish cycle, and just in general, it just makes your life easier. The more plants you have, the easier it tends to be. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Let us know in the comments what your favorite plants are that you've gotten at big box stores. Or if you didn't get them at big box stores, I'd love to hear about those as well. If you're new around here, subscribe, hit the bell so you don't miss notifications, and hit always get notifications. And if you'd like to support the channel, you can do so by heading over to teespring.com/fishfan. You can pick up, or you can go to teespring.com/HeidiKim, get this shirt. I also have a Hello Box shirt for my blogging channel, or you can get the Fish Fan shirt. We even have mugs, so that will be linked down below as well. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye, guys.